Welcome back to Chapter 8. This is going to be our final section in Chapter 8. This is Section 8-9. And again, it's just going to be another one of our shortcuts. This is going to be a shortcut for our perfect squares. So perfect squared trinomial is a trinomial that is a square of a binomial. So my question to you is, do you remember the shortcut for the squares of sums and differences? Well, that's what we're using here. Just to make sure that we remember what the pattern looks like, let's go ahead and factor this one out. If I was to use my shortcut, I want to square my first part, so I'm going to have a y squared. I'm going to do plus 2 times my last part and my first part. And then I'm going to add on the squared of my last part. So if I finish this all the way through, I would have y squared. It would end up being a minus 14y plus 49. Just a reminder of what they would look like if we actually had them factored all the way out. So here's the important part that I want you to remember. This is a shortcut. If you don't see it right away, then try something else. You can use all of your other ways of factoring on these. This is just for if you see it. So if I have this trinomial, here's what my steps are going to be. Do a product sum table, if that's your preferred method. And I'll find a times c. Well, I'm looking for things that multiply to 49. And I want them to add to that middle term, so I want to add to a negative 14. When I start looking at numbers for this, I could realize that 7 times 7 gives me 49, and that makes a positive 14. Well, since that's positive and I want negative, let's go ahead and change my signs on both of these. So I'll have negative 7 times negative 7, and that would give me a negative 14. Step 2, once you find your product sum table and you've figured out what numbers you're going to use, if they are completely identical, the same sign and the same number, then don't break apart b for your shortcut. Instead, take the square root of your a and the square root of your c, add them together, and then that's your quantity squared. So if you're looking to see what I'm looking at, I'm saying, okay, well, I have y squared square rooted. That's equal to y. And I have 49 square rooted. That's equal to 7. So I'm going to open a single set of parentheses and say y goes first, 7 goes last. I know I need this whole parenthesis squared. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take the sign that is in front of your b. So if it's a negative, we'll go ahead and call it negative or minus. Just another shortcut for you. If you like it, awesome. If you don't, that's fine. Completely forget you watched this video. I'm completely cool with that. All right, let's do one more just to look at it. We'll look at number 1. I could start my AC table. And I know a times c, 9 times 25 is going to be 225. And I know I need that to add to negative 30. 225. I look at that and I can think, well, that's 15 times 15. 15 plus 15 gives me 30. Or I could try negative 15 times negative 15. And that gets me my negative 30 that I'm looking for. I notice they're exact same number, exact same sign. If I wanted to use my shortcut, I'm going to stop, open a single set of parentheses and square it. I'm going to take the square root of my first term, which is 25x squared. Square rooted would be equal to a 5x. Write that right out front. And then I'll take the square root of my last term, which in this case is a 9. Square root of 9 is 3. Write that at the end. I still need a sign in there though, so I'm going to look and see, okay, I have a negative in front of my 30. So this is going to be a minus 3. Of course, we want to talk about how to solve these. I know I have a section in your notes on bullets of how to solve them. I want you to go ahead and fill those out. If you need to look at spots earlier in your notes, but what do you think is your order for solving? What's the very first thing you need to do? I hope you're writing down set equal to 0. Number 2, we want to make sure that we factor out our greatest common factor. Number 3, we can say factor it. Number 4, set each of your factors equal to 0. Number 5 is going to be solve those and write in set notation. But like I said, I want you to write those down, so hopefully you filled those out and didn't forget. Maybe you were listening to this without volume, you might have missed out. I'm not going to do an example of solving just to try and keep this video shorter for you since it is a shortcut. But lesson summary. Out of your 2 shortcuts, section 8.8 and section 8.9, do you think you're going to use them? Why or why not? And then for your practice problem, I have solve x squared plus 1 equals 2x. If you would like to try and solve that with perfect squares, wonderful. Otherwise, if you didn't like the shortcut, just solve it in whatever way you want. Make sure you have it solved to get your stamp. I hope that you learned something new in this video and in this chapter overall as a whole. Maybe you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, make sure you ask in class, and I hope you have a great afternoon.